So I recently found out, mainly from friends and family members, that Tyler Perry had released yet another film over on Netflix after Straw. If you guys haven't seen my review on that, I will link it in the corner for you. But I have to say flat out that I wasn't too thrilled to find out that it was another Madea movie. Like, of all things, it had to be another Madea film. Madea's Destination Wedding, to be exact. And I really just decided to watch it mainly out of curiosity, since I heard that the film was shot in the Bahamas, where I'm from, and I definitely appreciated that he did showcase some parts of it. Maybe not too much of the main island Nassau, but Paradise Island for sure did get a feature, which was nice to see since they filmed most of it in Atlantis Resort, which is connected to Nassau by some bridges. But outside of that, the film was pretty much what I had expected, but I'll save my thoughts, at least for the most part anyway, until after my little mini recap. So I didn't really feel like going through the cast like I usually do, because it's been the same cast for almost all the Madea films for the last decade plus, at least the main ones anyway. But I guess I'll just introduce the characters outside of Madea and Bam, Cora, and Mr. Brown, who you probably might have seen 1,000 times over in Tyler Perry's work. So we got Diamond White as Tiffany, Xavier Smalls as Xavier. I feel like they really could have come up with a name that wasn't so close to his actual name, but anyways. I remember him as Angel from Tyler Perry's Beauty in Black series. I also did a review on that if you guys want to check that out. I don't think I did it on season 2, but I'll link it anyway. We got Tasia V. Simmons as Deborah, Jermaine Harris as BJ. So it was a pretty small cast and a pretty short movie. But let's get into it, because this is probably only going to take a few short minutes of your time, honestly. We have Tyler playing Brian Simmons, the son of Joe Simmons. I got introduced to him in Diary of a Mad Black Woman back in 2005, one of my favorite films from Tyler Perry, to be honest. But as we know, Tyler also plays his father, Joe, and also Joe's sister, or Brian's auntie, I guess, Madea, aka Mabel Simmons. But back to Brian. So he's divorced from his ex-wife, Deborah, who used to have some substance issues in the past, and every now and again the family brings that up, same as in Diary of a Bad Black Woman as well, but Deborah was played by a different actress in that one. But she finally kicked her habit, and now their daughter Tiffany lives with her and their son BJ lives with Brian. They all meet up for dinner one night because Tiffany wanted him to meet her boyfriend Xavier. However, Xavier doesn't really meet Brian's standards, and to be honest, if I was a parent, I probably wouldn't approve either. From the tattoo on the face to the lack of manners, it would have definitely been a no for me. So no shocker there that Brian wasn't impressed either. Tiffany also wanted to get his blessing for their upcoming wedding that he knew nothing about. Now they're also asking for him to pay for a destination wedding, but also tries to make it seem like he can't afford it. So it pushes him to want to pay for it because he doesn't want to be showed up by his ex-wife's rich second husband. At work, he asked one of his attorney friends to run a background check on his daughter's soon-to-be husband, but they can't find anything. Brian ends up paying for his side of the family to come over to the Bahamas for the wedding, including Madea, Joe, Cora, and Aunt Bam, and then of course his son BJ. They get over to Atlantis, and his ex-wife Deborah comes over while they're checking in and flaunts that her husband is friends with the owner of the resort. So she said she got him a discount for a few additional rooms. Let's just say there's a lot of shade being thrown, and Brian keeps succumbing to the pressure to spend more and more money to not look bad. But when Joe, who clearly has a gambling problem, gets to the table and finds out he can open a tab and charge everything to Brian's card, he starts racking up the charges, and so does everyone else. And before you know it, the movie's already half over. Yeah, we've already reached the halfway point. Xavier is about to have his bachelor party, but Madea questions Tiffany as to why she's not having a party with her friends and if she was actually happy. It just sounded like Deborah was really the driving force behind Xavier and Tiffany marrying for some reason, and things get a little crazy at the bachelor party. But that's when Brian sees Xavier talking outside of the club with some woman and thinks he's cheating. Then everyone pops up, including Tiffany, and it's looking like there might be no wedding. And Deborah is a lot more sad about it because she wanted to have her husband pay for it before they got a divorce, which we find out later from the husband, because he had apparently made the promise to the kids that he would still sort of take care of them even after they divorced. But it turns out that Brian had it wrong with regards to Xavier and that woman he was talking to. Apparently that was his mom that he's kind of embarrassed about, but we never really find out what that's about in terms of like what exactly the issues are. But we just know he didn't have a daddy, he was in and out of foster care, and she didn't make good decisions. That's pretty much all we get to know. She pleads his case to Brian that that he's a good kid, but we also never really see what exactly makes him a good kid, because what I saw in the beginning, like I said already, if I was a parent, it would be a no. You were not marrying him. Thank you, you know? But Tiffany and Deborah have a moment where Tiffany cries about her not showing up for her outside of just throwing money at her. And Deborah, not really knowing how to respond, she's just like, yeah, I'm sorry, you know. So back to Brian, he tries to apologize for judging Xavier by his appearance. However, he doesn't really give Brian much else to go off of in the short amount of time he knew about his existence. So, just saying. But either way, Brian sort of kind of gives his blessing, and there's a wedding, and he's also trying to rush them so he could hurry up and check out of the hotel. But that's when he's presented with a booklet for a bill of all the charges that his family racked up. And we have officially reached the end of the movie. Yep, that was really the entire hour and almost 40 minutes wrapped with a nice bow on top. So I didn't really look at any opinions or reviews before watching this. And afterwards, when I saw them and even watched them in video form and looked at the audience scores, I felt vindicated in my overall thoughts that this was indeed a waste of a film. I'm really trying to figure out if there was just a 3 Madea movie deal that Tyler had signed with Netflix or something, like he's just trying to get them all out the way now. Because I'm really confused here. I'm just trying to figure this one out, because I think we already knew that the characters were just going to do the same things and make all the same typical jokes that haven't really landed since the later half of the 2000s. But when it comes to the plot, it looked like it could have been a tad bit interesting, like a little incy-wincy bit, but in like a Hallmarkish sort of way, but with a few more swear words and insults. But there wasn't really much fleshing out of the characters, like no build up or depth given to any of them. And I'm thinking it's probably because it was just structured all wrong, like the pacing was off. There was just no saving this one. It's very deserving of the slamming it's getting. The critics were probably like, here goes another one, you know? I mean, I love that he showcased my home, but they could have really utilized the island instead of just staying in that resort. I think it would have probably given them more to work with in terms of maybe giving the characters more friction that would have brought more out of them. I mean, we don't even hear from Tiffany as to why she even wants to get married to this man so bad. There was just no investment in anyone or anything when it came to this one to just make it worth the watch. I don't know. I was just trying to think of ways that they could have potentially made this into something, even though I wholeheartedly believe it's beyond time for Tyler to retire Madea. But even the conversations that they had were just so surface level. When you literally have someone about to get married in just a few days, why do we never find out who Xavier or Tiffany really is, or even what makes Xavier a good kid, like his mom says? There was just a lot of moments and missed opportunities in this film where they could have made it not pointless, but they just completely missed the mark every time. But I wasn't really expecting much to begin with, and it looks like the audience wasn't either. But yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts down in the comments. That's gonna be it for me. I'll catch you guys in the next one.